is recording each of the presentations. We'll put those online so you can see them later. And it'd be nice if you could all email us links to your presentations as well, and we'll put those online.
Okay, so we're continuing on from a project from last year as a team of us, and we're just working on the iOS devices in the classroom and using social media for teaching. This year we're looking at scaling up what we'd done last year and just seeing how well it scales. Throwing it at, for example, one of our papers which has 8 classes across 200 to 250 students, and just seeing what happens, which is fun when things go wrong. So one of the first things we did, and I promise this is the only slide with lots of text on it, is to come up with a generic template from what we expect from some of the social media platforms. So with WordPress, we tried to come up with some basic key points that we want to see on every assignment and marked in every marking schedule. And this created a really nice consistency across all our papers. So within each paper, same guidelines across all the different classes, and then all the other papers, from year 1 through to postgrad, having the same kind of consistent approach in WordPress. And that was just to provide 3 basic kind of categories for WordPress. 1, research, so an area for, keeps jumping through, an area for research, reflection, critique, that kind of analytical thinking. We had a place for work in progress, so it creates a space for students to post their thoughts about how their work's going, and it keeps them working every week on their projects. One big problem we have in our department, digital media, is there's a lot of practical projects and people tend to leave them to the last minute, which causes huge amounts of problems. So by creating this kind of weekly space where people need to post and work in progress, that really helped with that. And lastly, just a submission space to get around our clunky submission process. It's really cool. I kind of let a couple of students go wild on WordPress. This is one post that one student did, just not multiple posts, just one post. And I said, just make it your own space, try something different if you want. So this particular student decided to endow all her posts with memes, internet memes, all which are animated GIFs. And she tells her story through these animated GIFs, and it's actually brilliant. There's a lot of really critical thinking going on in there, a lot of reflection, some really intelligent thinking, and it's kept fun through her being able to do what she wants. So that was an interesting experiment. One big problem we're having, which we haven't quite solved yet, is how we get students engaging with each other's WordPress blogs. We've looked at incorporating that in marking, trying to force it on the students, trying to encourage the students, and I find it really difficult, and this is something I think we need to keep looking at, how we get students looking at each other's work. Another thing we've been playing with is Google+. I'm sure lots of you guys use that, so I won't bore you too much with the details on what we're doing. But one thing I find really handy is using Google Drive along with Google Plus for error-triggered learning or in-class examples. A lot of the work we do, myself teaching web design, students will give me broken code in a classroom and I'll fix it as part of the lecture, as part of the tutorial. Getting that code to the students has been really difficult traditionally, especially with Blackboard. It's a really kind of locked-down system. Using Google Drive and Google Plus just provides a really easy platform where students can chuck me a file, I can work on it and just save it into a Google Drive folder, and then all the students have it as I'm working on it in the classroom. So they're getting my iterative saves as I work, which is fantastic. Another problem we're having with the social media that we needed to figure out was how to keep people engaged, how to drive engagement on these social media channels. It's all good to set up a Google Plus community, but the students kind of go astray if you aren't really involved with that and continuously posting, and they'll just kind of go off and do their own thing. So we found a really good combination of Hootsuite, Hootlet, and Feedly. So Hootsuite is a social media manager. If you haven't used that before, it's fantastic, it's free, it's a web interface. You plug in all your social media accounts into it, Twitter, Facebook, WordPress, LinkedIn, Google+, and it'll give you all the different kind of posts and stuff that's going on inside those different channels in one place. But the coolest thing is it lets you queue posts for each of these social media channels. So you can sit down on Monday morning, queue up 10 posts that will go out throughout the week, and it'll keep the engagement going on those communities, which is really nice. If you use...
Does the free version let you queue up? Or is it just
Yes. Yeah, it also has auto queue, which is a handy feature. I'll talk through it here. Using Feedly, you can find lots of interesting posts on different subjects. It's just an aggregator of certain topics. You just go there and you get lots of cool articles on whatever you're interested in. So you can sign up for, a couple of kind of topics that are relevant to your students. Open up your web browser on Monday, look at all the posts that are new, and then using this little hootlet guy up here. Oh, my mouse doesn't work. Where the arrow is pointing, you can click that little icon, and it gives you this little interface here, which plugs into Hootsuite. And what it allows you to do is select your social media channels in that top little drop down. So you can choose Twitter, Facebook, whatever you're plugged into, write a quick little message, and then click the auto schedule button. And you don't even need to open up a calendar. What it'll do is it'll figure out how many posts you got going out, when the best time is to post this stuff to get the most engagement, and all this other kind of fancy stuff. So you just click that button and it'll take care of all the hard work for you. So it's a really quick, easy solution for driving engagement. 10 minutes, you can get 10 posts from Feedly, auto schedule them up, and that's your week of work done, keeping the engagement going in those different groups.
So you find that is letting you manage the 200 and whatever students?
Oh, well, if you have a look back here, that's how many kind of communities we've got going on. Like that's just my classes, 8 communities. Plus we've got Facebook channels and other social media streams. So it was becoming a real burden to look after all these different streams. It's actually a lot of work. It wasn't cutting down on work, it was adding a whole bunch more work. So, with the problems with scaling is looking at, well, how do we cut down on that as we scale up? Because I don't want to have a nervous breakdown.
So I think making a little bit of a summary of how you're doing that for as a guideline for other people.
Yeah, I've got guidelines on all this stuff. We've written up kind of clear stuff on all this, which I'm happy to share. It's all on Evernote. Next thing we're doing, and this is where I spent the most time on this project, is working with IT. So frustrating with getting iOS devices working here at AUT. I'm sure you guys have all experienced it. So I must have spent about a week with IT in total time over these last couple of months, trying to figure out how we can get devices on the network quickly. There's a lot of problems in the way, but we're making a lot of progress. My kind of big concerns are the passwords we're using. From a UX perspective, they're terrible. User experience, they're difficult to enter when you get 200 students trying to enter Apple Wireless with lots of random characters. My gosh, I just want to jump out a window. It's terrible. So that's something I've been trying to tackle. And IT are actually making good progress now. We've been petitioning them hard to get all the Apple devices and Apple TVs onto the AUT Wi-Fi network so everything connects automatically. So I know it's not exciting to report on, but it's it's good progress. One other thing we're looking at, I thought I'd just talk about some of the random stuff we've got going on as well. Makey kits. These are really cool. They let you turn anything into a keyboard for a computer. So you can draw interfaces on paper, game controllers, full keyboards. You can plug them into bananas if you want to and use bananas as controllers. You can do anything with them. They're pretty cool. So we've been using these for teaching as edutainment, teaching interface design for our interactive papers, our web design papers, by getting people to come up with these different controllers and try and figure out usability heuristics. There are points about how stuff works, how good interfaces work. So this is just a quick little video of that. So it's kind of hard to see in that video, but yeah, they're playing this little tank game and using these custom-built controllers, and out of that kind of learning some really valuable lessons. Apple spent a couple of $1 billion figuring out these lessons that we can now figure out drawing on paper with these kind of new tools that are coming out, which is really cool. Another thing I'm working on is an app, a smartphone app and eyewear app for geolocation, conversations and critiques of visual messages in the world. So I'm trying to write this app at the moment for these Stevie Wonder like digital glasses here that allows you to turn every day into a learning environment for learning rules about art, composition, color, semiotics, this kind of thing. So as you walk down the street, you'll kind of get, using geolocation, you can start a conversation about a billboard or a sign that you come across or some bit of advertising, and the next person who comes along can comment on that, agree with you, disagree with you. We're going to include some tagging and some mechanics to get people engaged with that as well. So that's another thing I'm just kind of chugging away on at the moment.